Hello everyone, my name is Thomas the Silly Jr. here, aka Mustached. Here to finally review the movie Astra. So I'm a little bit late on this review, and I do apologize for that. The video game list that I have on me has been overwhelming as usual, so finding time to split it between the movie reviews has been a little bit difficult. Nonetheless, here we are. So, with that being said, in this movie we follow this character, Roy, in this futuristic movie where he decides that he wants to be a spaceman. And while that is going on, we discover that the world is going through what they call the surge, which are these blasts that periodically go off. So there is a threat to this movie, a threat to the characters, the world, as it were. And we also see throughout the movie that in this near futuristic world that people have sort of already terraformed or built on the other planets and non-planets, if you want to consider the moon a non-planet or a planet or whatever it's considered. They also go to Mars, and then I believe it was either Jupiter or Saturn they went to last. Nonetheless, we follow Roy as he's very determined on his mission. He gets affected by the surge pretty early on. He sees his station that he's working on get pretty much blasted, and he gets blasted down as well. But he's able to save himself from that fall. After the fact of this incident, he hears a report about his father being somewhere, and they want him to, these higher-ups want him to go essentially search for his father. And on the search to get to his father, he becomes more and more determined to get there as he, from time to time, checks out his dad's video logs, the father's played by Tommy Lee Jones, and this is Brad Pitt, I believe. And we follow that, and as they sort of head out on their first little venture off of the moon, they get attacked by, I guess, these pirates, or space pirates, I guess I'll call them in this scenario. So even in other planets, when they have been taken over, war seems to have never changed. Except you can also say that it has changed, because it's now taking place on other planets, so both Fallout 4 and Metal Gear can have their lines, just placed in this movie if they wanted to, but that's neither here or there. One of the issues I do have with this movie is that the focus of it does seem to heavily shift. Pretty early on, it seems to be there's this very heavy focus on what the surge is, how do you stop this from essentially affecting the world, and it boils down to a much simpler story about him trying to just find his father. And in the process, I do feel like they kind of lose the bigger, oh no, it's the world, element to it. Throughout the movie, and it does seem like the ending of this is very, it feels like I'm not sure if they solved the problem at all. He has this device on him, and I guess he activates it, and I'm not sure if that device that he put there on the shuttle that his father was on, I'm not sure if that was some device to like clear the surge, or if the satellite had something to do with the surge. In other words, it was a bit too unclear on whether or not that issue was resolved or not. The issue with the father, again, becomes the focus. And, you know, I'm not against it being in the movie. I'm just saying that the shift does seem a little bit bizarre, considering. So, yeah, it does end with the father deciding that he wants to be left to the vacuum of space. Ugh. And yeah, that was after a little bit of convincing just to get outside. So, it is an interesting movie. Again, I do feel like the focus was a little bit swayed, and again, it feels like the bigger conflict in terms of just like, oh, the world is going to die or whatever, you know. When that takes a backseat, it does show a little concern, considering that is the you know, the world and everyone in it. I don't know. I just feel like it sort of being, again, unclear on whether or not they did their mission, or he did his mission, I should say. Again, it just feels a little bit weird. Maybe just a little scene at the end of him when he returns home and he does another one of those psych evaluations of like, did you plant this thing on the shuttle to make the surge, you know, to go away or whatever? And then he says, yeah, I did my mission. You know, even though that would have been a little bit on the nose in terms of writing, I think in this particular scenario, I think that was kind of needed, because now it's very unclear whether or not he did his mission now, and it just seems to end on suggesting that the world might still end. I don't know. It's very concerning, to say the very least. But besides that, again, the story of the whole father abandoning him, I didn't have any issue with that part of it. And I do feel like there could have been a bit more in terms of back and forth. I do feel like it started out that way, and then it sort of just kind of faded, I guess I'll say. Kind of like the whole end of the world thing did. So yeah, I'd give this movie, in terms of a score, a 6 out of 10. Still enjoyable, but I do feel like some of the writing needed to be a bit more clear on the bigger sort of end of the world scenario, and kind of stay consistent with the father and the son in terms of just later on, because it just feels like, oh, I'm suddenly gonna trust you, and then I'm suddenly just gonna not trust you and let go, or whatever. I don't know, maybe he should have found the father a little bit sooner in the movie, just to give them a little bit more time together to build up to why that would make a little bit more sense for him to do that. And there are other unclear things in the movie as well, thrown in here. There seems to be some sort of effect that happens in space. You see it through the father's vlogs, for example. He seems to become more and more isolated, I suppose I'll say. But there's no real clear answer on to why that happened, or why when he went on a certain shuttle ship, why two chimps suddenly decided to attack him for whatever reason. Again, I do feel like there are unclear elements, and I do think that some of them are warranted, I suppose, but others are a little bit weird. I think the bigger ones, again, the end of the world, I think that one deserved an answer, because that's kind of a big deal. The others, I suppose, could be sort of just left to kind of be like, huh, that it's a little bit weird, but okay. It doesn't affect the bigger story plot point significantly, so we can just sort of leave it open-ended. So that is my review of Ad Astra. And if you did enjoy this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.